Seriously, just a bunch of cows that look like Oreos. They're white in the middle and black on both sides. What is this? We're back from New Zealand, and it has been one of the most amazing trips that I have ever been to. And also New Zealand is one of the most beautiful countries that I have ever visited. I'm going to make more than one videos about this trip. This is the first of probably many more. But at the beginning of this trip, I had a bit of a hiccup. Well, it's a pretty big hiccup. So let's start from there. We are in New Zealand right now. We're at the Commodore Hotel, which is very close to the airport. They have amazing facilities. They have amazing restaurants, bars, nice rooms. So it's a great time for us to get over the jet lag. I do want to remind anybody who wants to come to New Zealand from China, try to book direct flights and try to avoid the route of going through Australia, because that's what I ran into when I booked the tickets on a Western website. It did not remind me to get a transit visa, which is needed even if you are just passing through Australia, which is very troublesome and illogical. So I had to buy another ticket on a direct flight. That really annoyed me. But first day in New Zealand, it's been great. The weather looks awesome and it's beautiful out here. First day, let's see what happens later. We only visited New Zealand in their South Island, where natural beauty is the majority of the land and there's only 1 million people residing in this area. Our plan was to start from Christchurch, which is in the relatively northern part of the South Island, and then cut through in the middle, in between the two coastlines, and then we ended up on the west coast. Following the west coast, we kept going and then ended up at the turning point, which is the Fiordland National Park. From there, we followed the coastline back north. We turned northwest at Timaru and went into Araki or Mount Cook for a beautiful scenic drive and also a scenic hike, before heading back along the coastline and ending up where we started off, which is Christchurch. So far, we are 4 days in New Zealand, and currently we are at a national park where we're going to hike tomorrow. The track that we're going to tackle tomorrow is called Arthur's Point. So far, we've done 3 tracks. The first track is a really nice, easy, flat, but also scenic track that was at Christchurch called the Gatley Head. It was along the coastline. It has a lot of history. They set up gunpoints to protect and also defend the coastline during World War I and World War II. So you're going to see a lot of military bases over there. It's a very beautiful coastline, very flat hike. We actually did the hike completely in sandals and flip-flops. I think the whole hike took about 2 to 3 hours, and it was really pleasant. And the next hike we went to Arthur's Pass. Along that area, there are a lot of hiking tracks. Arthur's Pass is moderate. There's a shorter one that's called Devil's Punch Bowl. Devil's Punch Bowl is a beautiful waterfall. It was a much shorter hike. It was not challenging. It takes about an hour, actually, maybe a little bit over an hour back and forth. We stayed at a hotel. It was called the Beely Spur Villa. We actually were lucky enough to book the last villa that was available. You have a very open view to the basin between the two mountains. You have a jacuzzi where you can just stay warm while looking at the stars after the sun sets. The next day, we went on one of the most challenging hikes I have ever been. For a few times, I was actually fearing for my life. The Avalanche Peak hike. You will see the trail very easily because it's not paved at all. It's all rocks. And it's all vertical, basically. I would say 60% of the time you have to be on all fours just to get by. 10 minutes in, I was already exhausted. My legs were killing me. I was very determined to finish this 6 to 8 hour hike. At the top, you're supposed to be able to see the glacier from a distance. Once you get out of the tree lines or forest lines, it's pretty open. You will see the whole valley, everything. You will see the Devil's Punch Bowl from a distance. You will see the Arthur's Pass from a distance. Since I'm a city girl, I have no idea how mountains work. Many times, I thought 4 times that we've reached the top. The next higher peak appears from the mist and the clouds, and that appears to be the next stop. And 4 times I thought we went to the peak. 4 times I was wrong. When we got to the tip, the summit was not flat at all. It was all rocks and it was like blades. Both sides are just cliffs. And what made it worse was that when we were about to descend, it started raining hard. The wind was blowing me left and right. And just like playing Zelda when it was raining and the rocks got really slippery and Link just couldn't climb up anymore. That's exactly what happened. Wet. The wind is blowing at your face. You're fearing for your life, but at the same time, you gotta go down. I really thought I was gonna die for a second, but it was stunning. It was beautiful. You feel small, and that's as you should. And nature teaches you a lesson. Make sure you choose the longer route to descend. That route was actually flatter compared to the other shorter route, steeper route. Finally reached the ground. Managed to get a meal in before the last cafe closes at around 7. After that, we got to where we are right now. This is the best campsite we have seen so far. So far, the detergent sheets were useful. In some of the hotels, if you decide to stay in the hotel, and they will have laundromats. The one that we stayed at, it was in a town called Hokitika. Next to the ocean, there is actually a lot going on at the beach. There's a lot of driftwood. Therefore, every once in a while, they'll have a driftwood sculpture and sand sculpture contest. We spent 4 New Zealand dollars to use the washer. That's where I use the detergent sheets because they cost $2 extra if you don't have detergent. Air mattress bed, we're using that tonight, so that's definitely useful. The little mini hair dryer, I've used that in hotels. The vacuum holder, we sucked it on the dashboard, put my phone there. We were able to navigate using Google Maps. So the foldable hangers were useful because in a lot of hotels, you can't really move the hangers. It's locked in. Foldable water bottles. We have wine in there right now. So far, that's what we got. A lot of days to go. This city girl is getting schoolings by nature everywhere she goes. And I just got bit by a sandfly. This little buggers, I don't know if you can see, and I just killed one. It was sucking on my temple. Make sure you have bug spray. And I hope I'm gonna have more interesting stories to tell and more places to recommend, more hikes to recommend. See you tomorrow.